Oh my gosh. All right, folks, Alan Rubel coming back at you for Ozark Mountain Outdoor Adventures. Thanks again so much for tuning in with us here today. I definitely appreciate you so much and all the support we've been receiving here lately. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button to the YouTube channel. We have a lot of fun and exciting adventures in store for you, and that's what brings us here to this video today. If you've been staying in touch with the channel, you've seen here lately I've been talking about swim baits, and we're going after these monster bass. And first, I also want to mention that primarily everything that I'm going to be doing and have done in the past is bank fishing, shore fishing. I watch a ton of videos, where guys are in the boats, and all that information is relevant, but primarily when it applies to myself, just realize that I'm fishing from the shore. I'm fishing from the bank. So if I'm talking about these baits and the way that I use them, I'm thinking about them on how I use them practically, from the bank. So. Anyway, what we're going over today is, like I said, if you've been staying in touch with the channel, you've seen I've been talking about swim baits and going after these monster bass. But if you're going after monster bass, you got to put this into your arsenal. And I would say that most of you have already done this, but if you're missing out, we're going to be talking about jigs today. If you're going after the monster bass, you need to be flipping your jig, because we're rolling into springtime's coming around. We'll be tossing a big jig. I am going to be tossing these swim baits, crank baits, but definitely you got to have your jig in the arsenal. So what we're going to be doing is just going over a few different styles of jigs, and there's a lot of different styles and variations of jigs, but we're only going to go over the few primary ones and maybe mention a few others. So please, if I don't mention your favorite style of jig, please don't get too hard on me down in the comments, but we definitely want to hear from you, so don't be shy and get on down into the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, where you flip, and what conditions and those kind of things you're fishing. Like I said, primarily I'm going to be fishing from the shore, fishing from the bank. So your three primary styles of jigs that most all of them will be other subcategories will be your casting and your flipping type jig, your finesse jig, and then your football jig. So you can almost have any one of them fall into those type of categories. So let's just get right into it. Here's what I've been using here already this year, and you can just check the head out on that one. And this myself would fall into a casting type of jig. As you can see, that line is high on the head there, and it just gives you the ability to pull that through hardcover. It's basically your casting or your flipping jig is going to be just a good all-around multi-purpose style jig. I'm going to show you. But basically, your flipping jig, it also has it has more of a flat bottom here, giving you a little bit more surface area to allow that to skip across the bottom or the top of the water and give you that, just like skipping a stone on the water there. But again, you have a few different names and styles that'll fall right into that category. With that head, here's a good representation. I don't know if you can see it. I have still left it in the package. Look at that head on that one. I mean, it's to a point. It's got the tie high on the head. So that's your primary, your main one is going to be your flipping and your casting jig. I think the swim jig also falls into that category. Your next would be the football jig. Football jigs are great for hard cover, for rocks and wood. The way that I'm going to pull this out real quick. The way that their head is designed is just to give you, some of them swim and casting jigs with the head being sharp. If you get into the corner of some branches, it'll get wedged in there real easy. But that football head, it's not gonna wedge in there. It's quite as easy. I don't have one primarily here, but you got your finesse style jigs, these littler types of jigs. Usually they're a round head or a ball head. I'm gonna do some modifications here in just a bit on these two to make them a bit more of a finesse jig. But these are just flipping jigs. They got the pointed head on there, but I'm going to make them into some more of a finesse because they are a bit smaller than the other jigs that I'll be using here this season. So I'm going to do all right. And you also have to think about what type of trailer that you would like to use and what will work best for you. So really the main thing is so now once you know the different main categories, the 3 different main categories, then you kind of start breaking down into color, and then we'll get into trailers. So if you are using, if it's getting into spring, we get a lot of rain, fishing from the bank, fishing from the shore, you get a lot of murky, muddy water. That's why you see here primarily I got a lot of these black and the blue and black style of jigs, and that's just really because ultimately overall, I'm in these muddy waters, and I'm just flipping a black and blue type of jig. It's just really what has done best for me, and that's probably what I stick with most times. As we do come to the time of year where most of the time I am in murkier water, so the black is definitely the color I go with. The next, if you are flipping into those clearer areas, maybe you're in the river fishing smallmouth, whatever the case may be, go with a bit more of a natural color, your greens, your browns, anything to that effect is going to work. But that's primarily your main colors. You can get into some oranges, and also into some whites, just depending on what you like to throw. And sometimes you just got to switch it up a little bit just to give a different presentation. If something isn't working, if you're not getting anything on black, try the orange and black, the blue and black, try the orange and black, something different. Give it just a bit of a different presentation. So but yeah, so you need to start thinking about, so what different type of trailers do I want to go with? I mean, these up today, they're Guggen baits. I've never used them before, but definitely on those swim bait scenarios, those swim jig scenarios, you do want a trailer that has a lot of action. A lot of action isn't always the answer when you're in these pre-spawn and post-spawn time frames. They are, pre-spawn, they are looking to feed before they get into spawn because they don't do a whole lot of feeding at that time. But still, it's a risk. But once you get after the spawn, and the warmer water temperatures and the fish are more aggressive, definitely the swim bait with the trailers that have a lot of action, a lot of vibration in the water is definitely a plus. But sticking with those natural colors is hard to beat, even if you're in murkier water, because I mean they are still dark, but always the black seems to go best for me. Well, folks, there you have it. Again, this was just a really quick rundown of the main 3 different styles of jigs that you can use for bass fishing, and that goes for bank fishing, for fishing from the docks, for fishing from a boat, but primarily, I mean, if you're going to get a jig bite, usually it is the bigger bite, and that is why we love, and that is why we continue to go back to a jig, just because when we are we may get fewer bites, but if we are chasing that big fish in the air, the mama bass in the area, then flipping a jig over into cover and just getting being able to set that hook, I mean, is a great feeling. So anyway, thanks again so much for tuning in with us. We'll have more action in store with here real soon, so if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.